A new sister city is celebrated in Tacoma.
A special award is given to the Police Marine Unit.
And it's Daffodil Parade season coming up.
These stories and more coming up next on Tacoma Report. Hi, I'm Angie Foster.
And I'm Laura Proctor. The governor of the Kyiv administration region, Ruslan Kravchenko, and Governor Jay Inslee signed an agreement establishing a sister state bond during a ceremony in Tacoma.
Ladies and gentlemen, we just signed our sister state relationship.
The signing also included a series of agreements promoting academic and economic exchange in the Tacoma City Council chambers on Friday, March 15th.
We are here in Tacoma out of all our great cities because Tacoma is the city of destiny, as you know. And today we are cementing the mutual, bright, democratically controlled destinies of Kyiv Oblast in the state of Washington.
Ми приїхали сюди підписати цей меморандум,
We came here with a mission to sign this memorandum
який є історичним,
that is historical.
як і для Сполучених Штатів,
As for United States,
так і для України.
the same is for Ukraine.
Тому що це перший меморандум між областю та штатом Сполучених Штатів.
Because this is the first memorandum between the region or oblast and a state in the United States.
Washington is the first state to create this kind of agreement with Ukraine's Kyiv region, home to more than 100,000 people, an area overrun by Russian forces in February of 2022. Mayor Victoria Woodard provided additional background on the city of Tacoma's sister city of Brovary, Ukraine.
Tacoma's relationship with our Ukraine neighbors and Brovary is not merely one of diplomatic ties, but a heartfelt connection forged through shared values, cultural exchanges, and mutual respect.
On-demand video of the signing can be viewed at tvtacoma.com.
For 16 years, the South Sound Sustainability Expo has been the region's largest celebration of sustainable actions. Stacey Ellifrit has more on this free, family-friendly event that features activities, presentations, performances, and art exhibits.
The community is invited to discover local resources that help make their lives more sustainable. Back again is the South Sound Sustainability Expo on Saturday, April 13th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
So the 16th Annual Sustainability Fair and Expo is going to be taking place on UWT's Prairie Line Trail and then also down in Tolleson Plaza.
In addition to connecting with many environmentally related vendors, participants will also enjoy sustainable activities.
One of the biggest things that we're doing is we have an electrification marketplace section that's showcasing a bunch of different electric products, as well as providing residents support in rebates and financial support that's available locally or through federal and state funding. We also are doing a plant swap, which is our first year of ever doing that. So people can bring their plants that they don't want and then swap in for new plants or even just pick up any type of plants.
There are also fun things to do for the whole family to experience sustainable living options together.
So we have a kids corner. We do this every year and they always have some type of sustainable kids craft. And then we also are doing a scavenger hunt, which is super exciting. So even kids of all ages or even adults can go to each booth that's participating in the scavenger hunt and learn about their specific product or business or organization and then answer their questions and fill out their passport and then claim a prize.
Many organizations will be present to showcase their efforts to make our community a healthier place. And event goers can start their sustainable practices before and during the expo.
And we have a whole section on our expo website dedicated to how to get to the event and how to make it sustainable. And then at our event, we also don't do unnecessary giveaways or packaged products. And we like to give away experiences or useful things that people will use on a daily basis. And then we also are showcasing a vegan food truck, the Greedy Vegan. So there will be lots of sustainable food options as well as.
Celebrate, connect, and cultivate everyday sustainability by attending this free event.
And I'm also excited to participate in my first expo and be able to learn more about all the vendors and then also just engage with the community and hopefully learn and teach people more about sustainability because it is such a wide topic and it's really important that we educate residents on things that they can do and things that the cities are doing, that Tacoma is doing to make our community more sustainable. So the event is April 13th 10 to 3. Bring your friends, your families, your pets, and hopefully we'll see you there.
For Tacoma Report, I'm Stacey Ellifrit.
In February, leaders of the Washington Economic Development Association awarded their Innovation in Economic Development Award to the Tacoma Blue Edge Network. This partnership includes the City of Tacoma in collaboration with a coalition of partners to install Phase 1 of a 5G private network at the Tacoma Tide Flats. Phase 1 serves 5 maritime manufacturers and logistics providers. This landmark pilot project showcases the potential of 5G and how it can enable business innovation.
The Tacoma Police Department's Marine Service Unit was recognized by the Washington State Parks and Recreation Commissions as the Marine Law Enforcement Program of the Year for overall excellence in marine law and boater safety education. The unit has grown and increased their presence within the Tacoma waterways. In 2023 alone, TPD's Marine Unit performed 320 vessel inspections and 208 vessel inspections in 2022. For the years 2021 and 2020, there were no reported vessel inspections. This increase in safety inspections has undoubtedly led to educational awareness for marine activities.
A lot of the credit goes to our group of people. We have a great mix of young, energetic, motivated officers, along with a lot of great experienced officers who are willing to share their knowledge and expertise with the rest of us.
In 2023, the unit responded to 31 derelict boats, performed 11 derelict vessel impounds, responded to 4 death investigations, 14 search and rescue distress calls, 2 sunken boats, and performed 7 vessel assists.
The city's Safe Routes to Schools program is a local and national movement to make walking and rolling to school safer, easier, and more fun for all K-12 children. The Tacoma program started in 2017. In these first 5 years, the program completed 10 construction projects, received over $3 million in grant funding, provided over 800 helmets to youth, and hosted numerous educational events. Program staff worked with the community to shape the next 5 years of this program. The 2023 Safe Routes to School Action Plan is a result of hundreds of families, school staff, and community partners providing their input. This effort outlined pedestrian safety improvements, placemaking enhancements, crossing guards, and walking school buses as priorities for the program. After the break, I'll be talking with Jim Dugan on Tacoma's aging facilities.
And later, we'll plant some ideas on community gardening.
There are many aging City of Tacoma facilities that are used every day to conduct city services. While some built over 100 years ago, many of these locations are no longer meeting the needs of the community. Because of this, the City Council recommended the creation of a Facility Advisory Committee, which had the responsibility of prioritizing which of these aging facilities should receive attention first. Jim Dugan from Parametrics helped to lead this effort and is here today to talk more about what was accomplished. Jim, welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Well, Jim, let's start out by letting our viewers know, what was the Facility Advisory Committee meant to do and how did it come together?
Good question. So you already spoke to a piece of it, government buildings that are aging, and a concern by staff and the city around continued levels of service that come from those facilities. City staff's been working for a long time to try and figure out how to analyze, evaluate. So the Facility Advisory Committee was brought together to evaluate the current state of the city-owned facilities, more than 65 buildings, roughly. We pulled together a group of people, the Facility Advisory Committee. Some were picked by council, some by staff. Then of those, we picked organically the rest, so we would have a well-represented City of Tacoma committee. Some connected to the built environment, some not. We ended up with about 19, and we had about 12 or 13 meetings before we came to our final report.
Wow. And can you let our viewers know, Jim, what was your role specifically with the FAC?
Yeah. On the heels of a lot of great work done by city staff for multiple years, they asked me to help plan and facilitate the committee based on my experience of having done that before for multiple public agencies, could be school districts, could be cities, but a independent third party that has no dog in the hunt, as they say, to just marshal the resources of a group of people that may not have ever done this before. And it's a piece of work that I have done before. And most important, I was doing that at the same time for the Tacoma Public Schools and Metro Parks Tacoma, along with the city. So we were able to look at how to share resources where we could. And there's more to come on that in a future show.
So it sounds like you were wearing many hats and had many things to manage at the time and still to this day, right?
Yes.
So can you walk us through the FAC schedule and what did you do and talk about?
Oh, good. So we had about 12 or 13 bi-weekly meetings between February and the middle of summer before we put together the final report. But the work that we did began with site tours. We took the teams through what do our fire stations look like, our libraries, our senior centers. Beyond that, on one meeting at a time, we had topics. Take the fire department, levels of service, standards of care, finding out that we have fire stations in houses, not in fire stations, finding out the condition of them, going to the Streets and Grounds facility that's a 1909 building, which is 115 years old, things like that. So we did that. As we came through all of that, it now became time for us to do what our job really was, which is something the city has struggled with, which is how do we score them? How do we prioritize the most needed to the least most needed? Right? So one of our members, our youth member actually, Ashley Brewster, came up with a way to do it that the committee agreed to. And we created 5 categories by which to evaluate facilities. They were, I'm going to read it so I don't get it wrong, public and user worker safety, emergency services, equity, facility condition, community value, and city vision and goals. And we evaluated all the facilities through them with weighted factors to come up with a numerical means from most important to least most important.
Okay. And so in touring the facilities over the several months, and can you speak a little more on the report that laid out the committee's findings?
It's a 27-page report, so I'm going to put it in just a couple of quick sentences. Probably paramount, without question and unanimously, was to ensure the safety of city employees and the safety of the public. When we looked at every building, we looked through that filter first. And I believe beyond that, we started to look at other operational inadequacies to try and determine, is it working? Does that service center actually work? Does that fire station that looks like it's in a 1936 house that has all the equipment on the curb, is that really what we should do? And Streets and Grounds, shocked the building hadn't fallen down. Now these buildings are old. Some might say, well, they haven't been maintained, and that's not the case. We're still using them because they have been maintained. It's just they're old. And so the thrust of the outcome of that was to really look at what should be replaced, what should be fixed, and what should be left alone. And that's how the report, and it ultimately prioritizes all the buildings so that when the city decides to go out to the public and ask for a vote for a bond, we know what that list is and we know what the dollar values are, and we've already done the work.
Right. So you've spoken a little bit about recommendations. Are there any other pieces that you'd like to share with our viewers in regards to recommendations?
Oh, yeah. Additional recommendations, and it's probably one of the ones that came up at the very end, was to make sure that when a capital bond is voted for and approved to do the work that we evaluated, that an accountability mechanism would be put in place, either with the Planning Commission or with a new body, to monitor the work and make sure that the work that was planned is the work that was done. But in addition to that, things like the Tacoma Municipal Building, it's in terrible shape. But we don't know enough about it yet to know what to do with it, so it became a recommendation of it needs to be further evaluated on its own. And so we have a number of those. The Rialto Theater was one of those. But most important, when we were done with our linear numeric evaluation, we took a step back and realized that it's primarily fire stations, public safety. It didn't have I think Streets and Grounds fell right at the top, Street Ops, that 1909 building, 5 or 6 fire stations, but it didn't have libraries, and we know that we need one in the Hilltop area. We know we need one in the Lower East Side. So we made some final adjustments and brought some things from the bottom of the list back up into the top, just because we know our community, we know what we need, and we've been listening to them for years. So.
Okay. Yeah. And then our final question, you did kind of touch on this. What projects are being prioritized? You mentioned the fire stations, and can you also speak just a little bit on other projects that are being prioritized right now?
Yeah, so we've got the Fleet and Logistics Center, as possible co-location with street operations. Street operations is at the very top. There's fire stations 15, 4, 11, 7, and 2 that are mostly the downtown area that are at the top of the list. Other recommendations was to leverage additional state funding for some of those projects that fell to the bottom of the list. Senior centers, there's an answer for senior centers that we haven't come up with yet. So an additional recommendation was to reevaluate those separately to see, should the city still own them? Should they be run and operated by a nonprofit or someone else? So we talked about what we think needs to be done. We know what can be done. We put things in place to reevaluate further, and likely the Facility Advisory Committee will come back together at some point in time. If the bond vote does something that doesn't get scheduled for a year or two, life changes, buildings change. We may need to make some other edits, but we're ready. When our city's ready, we're ready.
All right, I like to hear that. Well, Jim, we definitely appreciate you coming on the show today. Thank you for everything that you and your department are doing, and we look forward to having an update on what's going on with the FAC.
I look forward to coming back.
All right, thanks, Jim.
You bet.
Coming up, it's community gardening season at a neighborhood near you. Don't go away. Welcome back to Tacoma Report.
March may come in like a lion, but it also starts the gardening season. You may be working your own garden plot at home, but for many Tacoma residents, community gardening is a great way of meeting your neighbors while putting some great food on your table.
It's spring, and more than 90 community gardens are scattered among the Tacoma and Pierce County region, just waiting for planting. You may have seen gardeners till the soil, yank up pesky weeds, and watering the future family meals, all with smiles and expectations of a good harvest.
It's where community members come together to grow food. They might have different plots, grow in the ground. A lot of the 96 gardens that you may see around Pierce County are comprised of very different styles of gardening.
Finding a garden in your area is an easy task. Just reach out to the Harvest Pierce County website.
So we have a form on our Harvest Pierce County website that folks can submit their information, and we will do our best to play matchmaker.
Community gardens are neighborhood resources in so many ways, from food to just getting to know your own community.
First and foremost, I think, are the friendships that are cultivated.
Every community gardener has a reason for growing your own food. It's a matter of your own background, eating choices, and simply what tastes good.
So many of the gardens, folks are growing their traditional foods from their homelands. It might be the main source of food for them throughout the year, and then they preserve it for the winter months.
Some community gardeners go one step further in supplementing food. They prefer simply donating their harvested produce to food banks.
There are so many benefits and ways that community members are giving back right now, and the community garden is one way that they're doing that.
Maybe planting an idea into a productive family activity might be fun for all while creating some tasty, wholesome foods. Sure beats mowing the lawn, doesn't it? For Tacoma Report, I'm Dave Gordon.
The springtime edition of Urban Green is playing right here on TV Tacoma. The show starts off with an update on the Tidy Up Tacoma program. Then, viewers can enjoy a cooking demonstration with firefighter McLaurin at Tacoma Fire Station 11 and a quick tip on making a natural air freshener. Viewers will then learn all about the WSU Extension Pierce County and their Master Gardener program. The episode will close out with a segment on container planting. For a listing of air dates, visit the city site.
The 30th and final Rags Wearable Art Sale and Show was held earlier this month at the Mercedes-Benz of Tacoma. Rags is an annual opportunity to enjoy and purchase garments, jewelry, and accessories from local artists and designers while supporting the YWCA mission of ending domestic violence in Pierce County. Rags is supported and run by volunteers of the Rags Guild.
That's what makes Rags happen, is the passion of the volunteers and their willingness to give up their time for something bigger than themselves. And it's really resulted in a beautiful little community, but mostly women who come together because they're serving other women and families in our community.
This is the last year of the Rags Wearable Art Sale and Show. If you would like to help support other YWCA programs, contact ywcapiercecounty.org.
Nominations for the 2024 Historic Preservation Awards are now open. Sponsored by the Tacoma Landmarks Preservation Commission, these awards celebrate the best in preservation projects and programming in Tacoma. There are 11 categories ranging from sustainability and housing to heritage and preservation leadership. 2024 nominations are online and are due April 3rd. An awards ceremony is scheduled for May 23rd, and good luck to all nominees.
April daffodils are hitting the streets. It's that time again when queens, princesses, families, and even boats will promenade throughout Pierce County, celebrating a time-honored spring tradition of daffodils. The Daffodil Festival Grand Floral Parade launches the month on April 6th, followed a week later with the Tacoma Yacht Club's Daffodil Maritime Parade April 16th, and then the Junior Daffodil Parade wraps the festivities up on April 20th. Sprinkle in some daffodil marathons along with other events and you'll have one great daffodil month of adventure.
That wraps up this edition of Tacoma Report.
A great way to find out about the services the City of Tacoma has to offer is by going to cityoftacoma.org.
We leave you now with several hundred of your closest friends during the St. Patrick's Day run in Tacoma on March 16th. I'm Laura Proctor.
If you made the run, congratulations. If not, there will be many more chances of hitting the pavement this season, so lace up those sneakers. I'm Angie Foster. Thanks for watching.